Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into turmeric, that golden spice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You probably know it from the kitchen, maybe in curries. But what's the real story, scientifically speaking? What are its health benefits?
Yeah.
We want to pull out the key takeaways from the research you've looked at, get to the core stuff.
Exactly. And while, the whole spice is generally good for wellness, the science really zooms in on curcumin.
Curcumin, right?
That's the main active compound. It's a polyphenol, and it packs a punch with anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. Potent stuff.
Okay.
But here's the interesting part, the catch, really. Using it effectively. It's surprisingly tricky. And that leads to some important safety things we need to talk about.
Okay, let's unpack that. Why does it work? What's curcumin doing at, like, a cellular level?
Well, the research shows it's a really strong anti-inflammatory.
How so?
It basically dials down key inflammation signals, pathways like NF-kB and COX-2.
Ah, okay. Kind of like how some standard pain relievers work.
Sort of, yeah, similar mechanisms in some ways. And it's also a powerful antioxidant.
Right.
So it directly neutralizes those damaging free radicals.
Okay.
And it even boosts your body's own antioxidant defenses through something called the NRF2 pathway.
So it fights inflammation and oxidative stress, like a double whammy.
Pretty much, a dual action system.
What does that mean for you listening? Where are we seeing results?
Well, the evidence is pretty promising across different systems. Take metabolic health, for instance. There's significant potential shown for improving blood sugar, insulin sensitivity,
Right.
even helping with conditions like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD. Seems to improve liver enzymes there.
Wow, okay. And cholesterol, too.
Yeah, it seems to have a favorable impact on lipid profiles.
Yeah.
Lowering the bad cholesterol, LDL, and triglycerides.
That's quite a range. What about the brain? That seems like a big area of interest lately.
Definitely. For brain health and mood, curcumin shows some neuroprotective actions. Things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. The research is looking into that.
Interesting.
And it can also boost BDNF.
Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I've heard of that. Important for learning, memory.
Exactly. Vital for neuron growth, learning, memory. And there's even some suggestion it might help reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety.
And cardiovascular.
Yeah, what's fascinating there is how it seems to improve endothelial function.
That's the lining of the blood vessels, right?
Precisely. Keeping that healthy is key for blood flow. It seems to help by increasing nitric oxide, which widens the vessels.
Okay.
And get this, some studies suggest the effect on endothelial function might be comparable to what you get from exercise.
Wow. Comparable exercise. That's pretty significant.
It is, but...
Here comes the but.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. It sounds almost too good. What's the catch?
The catch is huge, actually. It's called bioavailability, or rather, the lack of it. Meaning curcumin is notoriously difficult for our bodies to absorb. It gets broken down really fast, metabolized quickly, so that small amount in your curry spice, maybe 1 to 6% curcumin,
Yeah.
it's often just not enough to get those therapeutic effects we've been talking about.
I see. So that's why you see those concentrated supplements.
Yeah.
Like 95% curcumin.
Exactly. They concentrate it way down. But even then, just taking concentrated curcumin powder on its own, still poorly absorbed.
Okay, so if just eating it doesn't work well, and even concentrated powder isn't great on its own, how do we get it into our system electively?
Good question. And scientists have been working on this. One of the best-known tricks is adding piperine.
Piperine, that's from black pepper, right?
That's the one. Adding piperine can boost curcumin absorption by, up to 2,000%. It's quite astounding.
2,000%. Wow. Okay. Are there other ways?
Yeah, taking it with fats like healthy oils can help.
Right.
And there are newer formulations too, like liposomal curcumin, where it's wrapped in fat molecules to help absorption. So the delivery system, how you get it in, that's really key.
Right. So you can boost absorption quite dramatically.
Yeah.
But does making it more powerful also make it riskier? What about safety? Especially with these higher, more bioavailable doses.
That's the crucial next step. As a spice in food, turmeric is generally very safe. But concentrated curcumin supplements, you need to be more careful. Some people get mild GI issues, like stomach upset.
Okay, that seems fairly minor. Anything more serious?
Yes. High doses can have significant interactions with medications. This is really important.
Like what?
Well, if you're taking blood thinners, warfarin, aspirin, those kinds of drugs,
Yep.
Curcumin can also thin the blood, so it increases the risk of bleeding or bruising. They usually recommend stopping it about 2 weeks before any surgery.
Okay, that's critical information. What else?
If you're on diabetes medications, because curcumin can lower blood sugar, taking high doses might push your blood sugar too low. Hypoglycemia.
Right. Definitely need to be careful there.
Absolutely.
And are there specific groups of people who should be extra cautious or maybe avoid it altogether?
Yes. For instance, if you're pregnant, there's some concern it might act as a uterine stimulant. Best to avoid supplementation.
Got it.
If you have gallbladder problems like gallstones, curcumin increases bile secretion, which could potentially worsen things.
Okay.
Also, people with pre-existing liver disease need caution. There's a rare risk of liver injury noted in some cases with supplements. And finally, if you're prone to kidney stones, especially oxalate stones, turmeric and curcumin are quite high in oxalates. So high intake could potentially contribute to stone formation in people who are susceptible.
So it's kind of a paradox then. The things that make it work better, like adding piperine or using liposomes.
Exactly. They boost absorption, which is great for effectiveness, but that increased absorption also potentially amplifies these risks and interactions. More absorbed doesn't automatically mean safer for everyone.
Right. So pulling this all together, what's the main takeaway for you, listener? Turmeric, curcumin, fascinating stuff. Clearly promising research. But using it, especially as a supplement, needs a careful, informed approach. It's not just take more.
Absolutely. This deep dive really shows you need to understand the science.
Right.
From how it works, those anti-inflammatory pathways,
Right,
to the big challenge of getting it absorbed, and then crucially, the safety profile and those interactions.
It's like ancient wisdom meeting modern science, but you need the whole picture.
Precisely. So the real question maybe isn't just what should I take, but how does my body actually use this? And what are the full implications for me? It pushes us past the headlines. Always talk to your doctor or a qualified healthcare professional before starting supplements like this, especially if you have health conditions or take medications. They can help you figure out if it's right for you and how to use it safely.